Consula, Candidina, Euticius, Peregrinus, Latinus, Senicianus, Avitianus, Victor, Scotius, Aesicunia, Pauturca, Calliops, Celerianus. Pagão ou cristão, seja quem for, homem ou mulher, escravo ou menino, escravo que roubou de mim, filho do Anianos, de Matutina. Consula, Candidina, Euticius, Peregrinus.
An opportunity came about to look at doing a site-specific piece at the Roman Baths. What was unique about going to the Roman Baths was being at one particular site and then really saying to ourselves, let's explore this place, let's listen to it, let's follow it, let's just see what comes just from one amazing archaeological site.
And having been dragged in on the first series of Archaeology of the Year, write poems for Chris's music, I was going to say yes when whatever happened. This was too much of a good thing to pass up on.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it particularly piques my interest. It's the sort of thing I spent my childhood following my mother around, going to ancient sites.
Of sympathetic magic at Bath, and the curse offers a mixture of Roman and Celtic names. Text in Celtic and Latin. English translation. May he who has stolen my brooch, or cutting tool, from me, become as liquid as water. Whoever has stolen it, become as liquid as water. Become as liquid as water. Exuperius, Berianus, Severinus, Augustalis, Comitianus.
One of the component parts or aspects to the sound of this piece, the sound map of the Roman Baths, both as a live component and a recording component, has been engaging in spatial audio. Spatial audio is an attempt, in some ways, to get at all of the complexities that come with our real sense of hearing the world, right? One of the things that we did in research was to collect field recordings. So this was a process of recording both under the water with a pair of hydrophone microphones and above the water surface with a range of ambisonic microphones for a three-dimensional acoustic and stereo microphones to build sound images, if you like, because it then became a case of layering sounds, of listening deep into the complexity of that place. It's new to me. I've not recorded on a site like that before. I haven't dealt with hydrophone recordings previously. It is a complex place to. It's a in some ways it's a difficult place to work because there's so much else going on. It's a museum. It's a major tourist attraction. So having this access early in the mornings was just crucial.
It'd
Really
be impossible to contemplate.
Yeah.
After 9 o'clock or 9:30.
Yeah.
Whenever the museum opens, because the amount of people is extraordinary.
So time becomes quite precious as well. So that was, it's something to work with.
Who has done this? Made a gift in the temple of solace. In the temple of solace. Who has done this? In the temple of solace. In the temple of solace.
The opportunity to go, as we all did, to the sacred spring, the King's Bath, which is no longer accessible to the public, and sit around that at 7 a.m. It's quite a special thing.
And it's such a sort of a core part of everything at that site. It is the spring, it is the water giver to that ancient site itself. So to actually unlock the door at 7 a.m. from the corridor, from the museum corridor, and then delve out into that atmosphere, and it kind of sort of hits you, doesn't it?
Yeah. Be able to watch the bubbles coming up, literally in front of your face if you're kneeling down at the waterside.
Yeah, there's something about it. There's, cold mornings, but you have that warm aroma, and that's the smell, the kind of gaseous smell, the colour of the place. It is so unusual.
And for me, writing about it and kind of trying to think my way back to 2,000 years ago or further, to be able to sit there with the traffic almost inaudible in the background, it feels like you've stepped back in time.
The sacred spring at dawn. Bubble prayers rise in silver clusters. A jellyfish wriggle through green water. Sulphurous globes that catch the morning unawares. A shiver scent of centuries adrift in the city's heart. Gas streams of the deep rising through a shimmer of sky and stone, caught like breath in the sacred spring, muted, mouthed, swallowed in this sacramental shift between states of green. Here, time is still, tangibly folded. The city's now song, no more than an echo in sacred water. Our voices fuse with looped reels of bathers projected on worn walls, the museum's shadow chatter as it wakes around us. Slick Roman slabs carry footsteps in their wake, as if water is fossil and stone flows. Before the day's warmth reaches stone, a song of heat rises. Folded fingers of steam beckon as a god would beckon. Follow the light, the silence, the aroma of history submerged. Don't listen to the day's bright call. Dive into the dreaming, the warm, misted God space where myth and history bathe together. Rub shoulders with the rich, the poor, half-forgotten kings and symbolic pigs. All of them praying for good skin, long life, in the sacred green inkiness of this miraculous well.
One of our research visits, I had the bass clarinet with me, and we played to the Sacred Spring. We did a few other recordings with the instrument around the site, different acoustics, different feelings. Good to bring music to the site, as well as going there as a researcher to extract sounds and bring them back into the studio. It has to go both ways. And as a performer, I mean, this is what you were talking about as a narrator, as a poet. You have to speak into the site to really get into it. You know,
To have it speak back to
to have it speak back to you. One of our research visits to site involved coinciding with a sampling session which was organised through University of Plymouth, Dr. Lee Hutt, who's a lecturer in biomedical sciences, and an opportunity arose to have a conversation with him and his students about their research. And this gave us an opportunity to look really closely, microscopic levels of closeness at the life of that water.
Do you think this red stuff could be?
Certain bacteria that stuff.
It's probably iron.
Oh, just iron deposits.
They're able to find life within the water. We were looking at examples of the bacteria in the water, and then particularly nematode worms, which are microscopic life forms, invertebrae.
And there's a particular one, they don't normally live in temperatures that high.
Right.
So there's one that is doing particularly well in this spring. And I mean, for me it was interesting, having started off writing about the goddess Masulis Minerva, quite a lot about that, to go into the science and the kind of the mix of science and faith, because here are microscopic gods almost. There's the potential that they could create new antibiotics. There is evidence that these things work on the flesh, on the body, and make it so kind of the miraculous, seeing the miraculous under a microscope on an agar plate. It's just extraordinary. Good to write about.
Nematode worm under microscope, looped like a ruberos, round on itself, mouth to tail. Koi wriggler, hook of hope in a skin of sacred water. Porous symbol written in microbraille at feast on bacterial, cellular chains spread out snake-like, in search of life. Infinity, sung in a minor key. Small songs for tiny things. will outlive humankind.
It was important to take recordings from the periphery of the site. I'm really interested in the site-specific nature of this as being something where sound is continually, gathered around oneself, but that means going out and hearing the site from the outside world and hearing people there and the chit-chatter of that and the liveliness of a city itself. That place, the Roman Baths, is at the centre of this ancient city. So we went and took some nice recordings, just walking around the Roman Baths in the streets, full of buskers, full of cafes. There's a very lovely atmosphere around there, so it's nice to capture that feeling on the recordings. Six minutes of pure magic. The water channels from the Roman Baths, which is at a subterranean level from the street, flow away from the Roman Baths. The Romans channeled it and controlled it like that. And there's a tunnel which takes the water under the city in the direction of where the abbey is, and eventually under a city park to where the River Avon meets it. So we were thinking to ourselves, right, let's go and follow that. And I'm glad we did, because it's got a kind of magical feeling to it, where the geothermal waters of the Roman Baths meets the River Avon. There's this wonderful thing that happens where you find a cluster of river fish bathing in the hot water that's gushing out from where the Roman Baths is, somewhere back in the city. And that's it's amazing. What a sight. What a thing. always challenges with these projects. We're not in a recording studio like here we are now. It's not a controlled environment in that sense. We're open to the elements, but those challenges are the challenges that you kind of want to capture. The sort of unsuspected movements, all of the kind of imperfections of the natural world around you.
Doing the circular bath and any outdoor spaces that are possible.
What I'm thinking right now is, and this came to my mind just now, is that air conditioning gonna be open while we are recording this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
There is air conditioning there. Yeah. There's like air conditioning everywhere in that building.
Yeah.
Right?
Bear in mind, this is, it's a public site, it's a museum around an archaeological site. Yes, there was a lot of air conditioning. There was, I don't know if it's just air conditioning, but there were, the kind of audible hums and noises which you would normally sort of not be aware of perhaps and sort of blank out because you're getting on with your day. But if you're recording in such detail like that, then these things become all the more present, and there were quite a lot of them around the Roman baths. Even at the Sacred Spring, the King's Bath, it's surrounded by Victorian architecture, quite high sides to it. And then within that architecture is, of course, modern infrastructure, and you have the world outside. That's the nature of the place. You take that on board. You have to find a way of tuning into that. It would be ridiculous to want to blank that out and ignore it. And also, we're not trying to do something here which is about, a pure version of piecing back together a historical view of a site. It's not about that. It's about being true to all the layers of, human intervention and history and of occurrences around the site, including ourselves. It's very, very much doing anything like this, you very much have to sort of take on board whatever you bring to it. And those hums and noises and electrical interferences and all the rest of it are there. There are ways actually of then incorporating that into the sound world. There are some interesting tonalities in there. In actual fact, we made recordings at the inclined borehole underneath or just adjacent to Stool Street. So that in itself is a modern drilled borehole, and it has I think it must be an electrical system which whirs away. And it whirs away continuously. But we got some very interesting recordings of that, which I've used in the sound world of the piece, in the sound map itself. Which adds something perpetual and plays into that eternal nature of a site like that.
Apparaît également sur une tablette de malédiction trouvée à Amélie-les-Bains, dans la région du sud-est de la France. Texte en latin. Traduction en français. Je vous en prie, je vous en prie.
In my visits to site, I used that drone of the air conditioning as a meditative tool to think myself back in, so it became quickly a path rather than an obstruction in terms of the way I thought.
降级于那个人，无论男人还是女人，无论男孩还是女孩，谁偷了他的斗篷？谁偷了他的斗篷？谁偷了他的斗篷 Lovaneska.
What I'm looking for is a truth to materials, a truth to surface texture within the music, within composition. I'm interested in in the intimacy of sound and the intimacy of a place, as I'm also interested in the intimacy of a musical instrument, of that feeling of being very close to something, almost a whisper. I'm working with an ensemble of musicians who are very, very good improvisers. This is where things become quite collaborative. So the scores are kind of ways into seeing how we move as people, seeing how the musicians move, and this really means kind of sort of finding a way of elevating, lifting those fine, delicate sounds, those whispers around us, off of the instruments and around into an arena space like the Roman bath.
And we could maybe just actually start together,
Yeah.
and then it kind of let it.
Yeah.
I think it sounds nice when we're chasing each other.
I think so. Yeah.
It is quite
You're
slow.
absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's still a sense of that form still comes through. The fact we've got these things, this rhythm written down, like it's still
Sort of have a sense of kind of being there somehow, but don't need to attach yourself so much to things there. An anchor. Well, this is it. I mean, it's a sketch, and then some of the timings very slightly changed. But it's not, you know, when you have a map, it's not ever according to to scale. You know, it's oh yeah, it's fine. Actually, things look better. That's what's going on. Yeah.
Is rain this side heavy again? Or do you feel surrounded by the rain sound? Like envelope?
Yeah, I can hear more detail now.
Yeah.
From here.
Oh, okay.
From here, I hear a bit more. But, you know, the more kind of tinkering sound is the hydrophone. Yeah. I was thinking, you know, that it's okay to sort of I punctuate and dent the playback more at times. So they can almost be phrases. They can almost be not. I don't know what you would call them. You know,
not
melodic gestures.
Yeah.
scores are sometimes quite specific, but other times they're looking to sort of delve into these areas of music making which are not so easy to write down. These are, you know, ephemeral substances, if you like, and yeah, there's a whole kind of atmosphere that I'm looking for as a composer. So the research, going to the site, being surrounded by the elements and by such a unique and strong element as geothermal the hot spring. Wow, I mean, how on earth do you translate that?
Water, pure in its cradle glass, is trembling sea in miniature, where lips beach the meniscus and then gently pass it back, a constant recycling of sips. Each mouthful is a moving on, a cloud as deeply housed as dreams of rain. In sacred pools, in tap, in cup, it's flowed from it to us, and there, and back again. It's in the engine of this world, the flow, water, the roaring constancy of change. It plumps the hidden seed and makes it grow, and can with time bring down a mountain range. It is itself a prayer. Hold out your hand. Watch water rub fear down to grains of sand.
But for me, given that a lot of the research is driven by Chris, I'm basically awash in a sea of information that has been dredged up, and music as well. The writing is some of my own, you know, Chris says he kind of conducts these musicians, it becomes collaborative. Also kind of conducts me off in a direction to write, and the music changes things. So we did the event around the great bath, the Roman baths. First time I heard the music, and I'd written some of the poems at that point, which were very much kind of dictated by research and discussion with the curators of the museum at the baths. And then it changed, and things shifted, and kind of the music seeped in. So it builds a different pattern in my head, because poetry is kind of has music to it as well, a music of words. So those rhythms and kind of melodies and strangenesses informed what I wrote, and it changed it. You can see the progress from the early poems without music to the ones after having heard some of the music. Basically, it's just immersing myself and thinking about it, and then locking myself away and writing about it.
Sickle sharp as laughter, she steps into ebullient water, her flesh a pulse of joy and caution as she is consumed then raised on limbs stretched across the meniscus of this bone-warm healing soup. Over centuries she sinks, body immersed, skin mingled, then lost, until all that is left is her face, spring-fixed, a ghost in the green. Hair become vine shadows traced on the water. Her skin is light. She sees all from a place of sacrifice, curses, altars, what alteration finds, the change of days, the sure, slow shift of ever-fixed marks. Another woman goddess swims into her abstracted skin. Wisdom is washed into worship, dissolved into a syncretic marriage. Two goddesses, one mystery, caught on the streaming tongues of people come for healing, hope, or reparation. Whatever answers may be glimpsed in her cyclical smile, her rippled face.
Talking about the performance which happened in October beside the Great Bath, which included Adam reading selected poems interspersed with a live ensemble, scored piece of music and field recordings. Now these field recordings are embedded into the live performance. They've come from the site. They're played all around us, so we used a 20-channel spatial audio beamwave speaker.
And it worked and it fitted in, and that coming together of kind of thinking and influence was really quite rewarding.
It was a real achievement, and it had a sense of occasion about it, and to share that with people, you know, in a live setting.
Even if the tech was slightly strenuous. It was a very quick get-in. We didn't have much time to set up.
Yeah, I mean, we're performing in a place which, well, we have to sort of start from scratch, really. It's not a music theatre or a music venue. It was a phenomenal task to go in and set everything up with spatial audio, with the voice, with musical instruments being channeled into the spatial audio mix. My goodness, yeah, it was a hell of an achievement. Stressful, yeah, but also very rewarding. It's interesting, I think, thinking about being there at the Roman Baths, beside the Great Bath, you kind of, in a concert situation, I don't know about you, but it just felt right. Mm-hmm. It felt absolutely right. That environment is made for sound. It's made for music. It's made for the human voice somehow. It's made to be sort of spoken into. It's got a kind of arena of its own, which I found really, really inspiring. Yeah.
It was. It was. I mean, I found I'm naturally a little bit of a show off when it comes to performing.
Yeah.
But you know, you kind of walk out at my points in the process, and you know, you've got this space, the flames flickering, people around the sides of the water, the voice carrying over the water. You just want to go, ha! So I did. You know, it was great.
Yeah.
It was great, and that lifted quite a lot of how I thought about writing. It was kind of working in the space properly, interacting with the space, hearing it echo my words back to me over the water.
challenges, yeah, but it's kind of a whole process in which you can't exactly map out right at the start and sort of say this is what the end picture is. A project like this becomes a sort of complex sort of lantern of pictures or kind of array of images, words, voices. Then the challenge is how to present that, really, or how to rotate those moving parts. And so, yeah, that's the challenge. Bring that to life, yeah.
Me free number 75, so less and wasam and a king. Asama Yaguso Kanaye, Cronfona, we are a Yisa, Mammy Wate, Adia, a sum man, I a fenny so less. Na Okonia, Ocho letter be, and now say what John Kratza, Ekoma. Sa mame wote ya otiasi na odi komano no sa my sorry no say why na ayesagi wache me sa chedi ebo mashenso hai ehwana we free solace.
Project management side of this, working with several partners, the Roman Baths, the University of Gloucestershire, Resonance FM Sound Image Research Centre, who loaned us this incredible spatial audio ICO speaker. Yeah, okay, so there I felt like there was definitely rotation here.
Yeah, I feel it's further the other side.
The project running of this has been pretty exhausting and challenging at times, but that's something that you take on when you decide to do a project of this nature. Installing a performance on site within a heritage site like the Roman Baths, all of these things are very stressful. You know, these things are very, very time limited and very specific to the nature of the place and all the rest of it. You know, been really lucky because there's a good mood around it and there's a good collaborative atmosphere with everyone involved. I mean, this is what lifts all of the challenges. You know, all of those sticking points and the problems that occur that come from working in such a complex site with such a complex installation and setup and all of that. The work makes it all worthwhile. The people involved, the good nature of everybody is essential to something like this, because it all comes back to that thing of being able to speak, to be able to express, to be able to tune in and listen to a place. Yeah.
The person who has stolen my horse blanket, whether a man or woman, whether slave or free, to the goddess Sulis. 私の馬の毛布を盗んだ人、男であろうと女であろうと奴隷であろうと自由であろうと to the goddess Sulis 女神スリスへ